All right, let's look at activity 2.2.3 called server analysis. Um, so to get started, let's just do a quick review of what we already know. We're going to have two machines. One is our login machine. That's a client. 172.30.0.6 is our IP. And our web server is another computer we're going to be connecting to, and we'd like to protect from potential malware attacks. It has a different IP address, 172.30.0.15. We're going to be configuring our IIS server so that it's less vulnerable. We're going to go through the steps of locking down a couple of different aspects. So step one is to launch the security lab, which I already have launched here. Step two, we're supposed to connect to the IIS server. So that tells us to go to connections, then double click on target window, and that'll start the process of connecting to the server. You can see that the IP address up here is indeed 172.30.0.15. And let's look at what's next. So we're going to dismiss this message. Don't care about that. We're going to go into the IIS Manager tool. So as you can see, it's highlighted right here in red, which is the same as this icon down here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And it'll start to boot up. We'll see a picture that looks like this. And there it is. Very good. And then it says near the top right server management window, click Tools and select Internet Information Services. So Tools. And the one we want to pick, I want to make sure I pick the right one, is the one that does not say 6.0 in the name. So we want to pick this one. And that should load up a little window that looks like this. For me, it's off the screen a little bit, so I'll drag it back on. Next, we're going to expand actually, we're just going to click on the start page. We'll expand it in a second. So this is just some basic information about our IIS server for right now. So one of the first things we're going to do to make our server a little bit more secure is disable directory browsing. So on the left side, you should see where it says target window 1. We're going to expand that. I'm going to try to expand it. There it goes. And there's lots of different settings in here that we could try to manipulate. Specifically, we want to expand the sites. So I'll do that. And we should see two sites, default website and FTP site. We're going to just look at the default website, so I'll click on that. And then in the center pane, we should see something called directory browsing, which is right here. So just double click on it, and you can see some information about it. Now, what we're going to want to do is we want to disable it. So if we click on this, now directory browsing is disabled. Now we're going to verify that directory browsing is actually disabled. So in step 10 it says we're supposed to minimize our server, so that's now gone. And now I'm going to go open up my Chrome browser. And now I'm going to see if I can remember the IP address of the client, the server, I'm sorry, which I think was 172.30.0.15. So let's see if I'm right. Yep, it's loading up the web server like it was previously. Now I have to remember a place on the web server that I shouldn't have the ability to just do directory browsing for. If I remember right, there's a logs folder. So if I hit enter, you'll notice that instead of before, where if it was enabled, I could view the files, now I'm not able to do that anymore. So directory browsing has been disabled. So if you want to see what happens if it's enabled, let me enable it again. Go back to the website, and enter, and you can see now that I see the list of files that's in the logs folder on the server. So this box here disables directory browsing. Back on the client, I'm no longer able to view the files in that directory. All right, and that is pretty much the end of that section. Make sure you also know what penetration testing is. Essentially, we're doing a little bit of that right here where we're trying to see if we can access files on a server that we're not supposed to be having access to.